We're hugging the turns, going around talking some ADPs. We're going to visit in on some news. Let's check it out. Fasten your seatbelts. Come on in. It's Fantasy Whiplash time. Welcome, gods and goddesses, lords and lasses galore. It's Fantasy Whiplash on a Tuesday night. How else would you be spending your Tuesday night?
Exactly.
I am Samwise. That is my partner in crime, the queen of all queens, Roxanne.
Hello.
Roxanne, say hi to the people.
How's everybody on this fantastic Tuesday?
Roxanne and I were just talking right before we came on, and she said she's still recuperating a little bit today, and yesterday was no joke. So, Roxanne, why don't you tell the people what it was that you were doing this weekend?
I went to 2 Metallica concerts Friday and Sunday night, and on Saturday night I went to a Metallica laser show at the planetarium, and did a lot of drinking and not enough drinking of water. I know. It was my last fun weekend before I start my new job, and I have to get serious about life.
Serious about life? I don't do that kind of stuff.
I don't even like it. I don't even like the thought of it.
Well, welcome you guys into Fantasy Whiplash. As always, we're going to follow the same format that we always do, which is we're going to do a little bit of a news recap at the beginning, and then maybe in the second half we're going to get into some ADPs, especially this week, concerning some players that have changed teams and whether or not that bodes well for them or not as well. Where you might think about drafting them or not drafting them at all. So I want to remind everybody, this is the redraft show you want to be at. We will be here all season, and when the season starts, it is no joke. It's going to be fast-paced, high-octane. We're going to get to all the information you need every week. Waivers, pickups, drops, injuries, news, recaps, the whole 9 yards. And Roxanne and I will be here to guide you through all of that. So thanks, everybody, for coming in the chat. I see a couple friendly faces. Hi, Angie. What is up, Dane?
Good. Hi, Angie. You. Hi, Dane. I just say that to Mad Dog.
He is the Mad Dog. He is another part of the Dynasty Degens network, of which we are the only redraft show as part of. It's a mostly Dynasty network. We have been entrusted, because we are so awesome.
Oh, no.
With representing the only redraft show on the platform, and you can always find us here at PlayerProfiler Plus now. I want to remind everybody, please do all the YouTube things. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you can, so you don't miss us. After the show is over, any comments you want to put in the in below, we'd appreciate. Tell us who your favorite players are to draft and whether somebody is changing teams or not. Talk to us about your teams. If you're the defending champ of a division or a league, then or if you're in any of the charity best ball leagues, I know Roxy and I both are. Some people in the chat certainly are. So absolutely let us know what is going on with you guys. So last but not least, you can find it down in the information below. We are also available as a podcast. That's going to come in especially handy during the season. So you can just listen to us, tick off all the information before your waivers and stuff like that while you're walking around, doing the laundry you didn't do on Sunday. So
I still have to do my laundry I didn't do on Sunday.
yeah, see, well, I mean, it's kind of the story of my life, which is why I went straight.
I'm usually pretty good about it, but yeah,
Right.
Crazy weekend.
All right, so let's talk about some news. Roxy, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, well, the big one is, of course, the deal, what was it, just yesterday, Geno Smith being sent to Pittsburgh. He's reuniting with Arthur Smith for the third time. He was his tight ends coach in Tennessee. He was the head coach in Atlanta for Geno's 1 year there, which I think all Kyle Pitts managers will remember because every week it was like, oh, Geno, when you were hoping that Kyle Pitts would do something. They gave Geno $12 million. Freiermuth is making $12 million a year. So basically, they've really spent, aside from Metcalf, all their offensive money at tight end, and we know how Arthur Smith likes to use them. So, what do you think we're going to see there, Roxy?
I think drafting either one is not a bad idea. Freiermuth had 650 some yards, 7 touchdowns last year. I don't see why they needed Smith, but what is Smith going to take away from Freiermuth now,
Right.
So a lot of people were really high on Freiermuth, taking him in later rounds. That was a big target for people. And now you're like, well, what's going to happen?
Right. I guess the big thing is like which one is going to line up in line and do more blocking while the other one is catching more passes. Or is it going to be split 50-50?
Right.
I think we don't know. We have no clue.
And was it last year Smith had the 884 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 88 receptions? That's a lot of 8s.
Yeah, it is a lot of 8s. And that was that was 1 year, or that was his 1 year in was that? Yeah, that was last year in Miami. And that was only his second best year was the one he had under Arthur Smith. So I think this is just an Arthur Smith love affair, the same as Cordero Patterson.
Right.
It's like he likes to bring his guys with him everywhere he goes. So, but I think once again, we're going to see all the Freiermuth managers out there going, oh, Geno Smith.
Exactly.
The same way that Kyle.
Like I said, people heavily invested in Freiermuth. If they didn't get one of those top tight ends, they waited and they took Freiermuth later, and now it's like, whoa, that sucks.
Yeah, I think in Dynasty especially, there's people that have been hanging on to Freiermuth, but in redraft for us, unless they really tip their hand, it's going to be a guessing game as to who's going to get the ball more. So you're liable to draft one or the other and then go 3 weeks of getting donuts on the scoreboard.
And then sit them.
Before you're like, okay, I guessed wrong. And drop them to waivers and pick up somebody else instead.
Yep.
So, Well, that was the first domino to fall. The second domino,
Big
and
one.
this one caught everybody by surprise. Everybody knew Miami would probably be looking for a tight end. People were even saying maybe they'll call Atlanta and talk about Kyle Pitts. But instead, they coaxed Darren Waller out of retirement for a year and paid him handsomely. And by handsomely, I mean $5 million to come and play in Miami. And they gave the Giants, who had his rights, a 6th-round pick. And Miami got Waller and a 7th-round conditional, which I assume probably means he has to meet certain performance expectations. But I guess his music career is on hold, Roxy.
That's too bad. I was really looking forward to his next song.
Yeah. You know, ever since Who Knew dropped, I was like,
I think I listened to about a minute of that and was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I was like, you know, this guy really made a name for himself in the rap business. I don't know why he was wasting so much time playing football.
He's had 2 1,000-yard seasons. 9 touchdowns was his high amount he's ever had. He usually can't play double-digit games in a season. I think it's only happened twice that he's reached 11 or more games. And he has a history of concussions. What the hell is Miami doing?
Well, you could go even further than that. I mean, the guy had a substance abuse problem. Right. He's had depression issues. He's just been kind of all over the map. Right. And I wanted
very shocking today.
I wanted to Amanda for joining us.
Hi, Amanda.
Chat. She is someone's better half, and it's not Roxy's. Yeah, and I think, like you were saying, Angie also mentioned today that she doesn't think Waller's really been healthy since like 2020.
I think, I think I have 2021 was the last time he started 16 games.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Well, I mean, we'll see, because he, you know, when he was at his prime, he was really, really awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He had 2,000-yard seasons like that. That's pretty good for a tight end.
Yeah. I mean, I find it hard to believe that after a year off, he's in the same condition.
He's 33, I think, is what I read.
What's that?
He's 33, I think.
That probably makes sense. Yeah. I mean, he was reasonably young before. So, so anyway, so we'll see what happens there. Is he somebody you'd think about drafting?
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I saw somebody say he wouldn't be a bad investment as a tight end 2, and I was like, tight
maybe
end
a 3.
2, a lot of times you're leaning on the tight end 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, if the matchups are poor and such like that. So, yeah, I'd say maybe 3. Maybe it's somebody you take a flyer on if you've got a long bench.
Right.
But, you know, aside from that, I don't know. I already saw him get taken in a best ball draft today, though, in the 10th round.
Wow.
And I was like, I'd wait till the 16th,
19th,
last round in that particular league.
No.
So anyway, I mean, you know what? I'm kind of rooting for him because I actually got way into Darren Waller when Gruden was the coach in Vegas. And just based on the way he was talking to a reporter about Darren Waller one time, I decided that's my tight end this year. And I didn't draft a tight end the whole draft. I picked up Waller 2 days later off of waivers, And that was the year that he just blew up for Vegas. And I was patting myself on the back like nobody's business. So, I've got that kind of, I have that feel towards him. You know what I mean? Like, not that I discovered him, but I'm like, yeah, kind of picked him out of the haystack. So I'm rooting for him. I'd like to see him do well. Unfortunately, Miami's not a very good place to try to do well right now. They're kind of falling apart.
I think Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat there. I think this is last year.
Yeah, I think he very, very much is. And
I love him. He's a Colorado kid. Things are not going well there for him, and it's a multitude of many things, but it always boils down to the coach first.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like he can be held responsible for the concussion issues that his quarterback has had, but at the same time, there's other stuff that just really hasn't gone his way.
Right.
So he needs to have a good season this year. So let's move on from that. This doesn't really relate to current fantasy football, but I did think it was interesting to see that Randy Moss has reached a point in his cancer recovery that he is ready to rejoin the Sunday night countdown team. Everybody's been touched by cancer. Certainly you have, Roxy. So does that make you feel good? Give you the warm fuzzies?
I read that this morning and I was really happy for him. Like, yay, that, when somebody can say, I'm at this point, I'm going to come back to work. It's usually good things going forward for them. You know what I mean? Like, and who doesn't love Randy Moss? Like, come on now.
Right.
So, yeah, I was very happy to read that this morning. Anybody that kicks cancer fast is a hero.
And I remember, when he first went out, all the guys on the studio team, every week somebody was saying, man, if Randy was here, he'd say this or that or the other. And so they obviously missed him as a coworker too.
Right.
So I'm glad he's trying to find some sense of normalcy now.
It's hard after, but getting back into the things you did before is the best way to start. Yeah.
This is a good question right here. We're going back to Waller, I guess. The Scott Fishbowl has a serious tight end premium. I mean, serious. And he will be a starting tight end. So you gotta assume he's probably going to be drafted in just about every league, and then we'll see what happens if he's worth actually playing or not. But he's going to have to get back to his old form of having like 8-9 targets a game, which he's done several times.
Right.
And if he's getting 8 or 9 targets a game, then
if he's getting 8 or 9 targets a game and you get him in the 11th to 16th round, you're doing really good there.
Yeah, I think so too. Right? I think I don't think anybody would draft him earlier than the 10th. Even if that means there's 16 tight ends off the board at that point, you got likely Went and Andrews went, and you got Freiermuth and Geno Smith both go. I don't think anybody's going to waste a pick before the 10th. But yeah, if you get him,
he'll get drafted for sure.
What's that?
He'll get drafted for sure in the Fishbowl.
Yeah. No, the tight ends are just getting too much of a bonus to not. So. But that's a very good question.
Thanks, Greg.
So let's move on. Here's another one I found that was interesting. Somebody asked Breece Hall what his goals are this year, and running backs are really fond of saying, "I'm going to rush for 2,000 yards," or I'm going to lead the league in touchdowns or whatever. And Brees Hall said, I'm just proving I'm still the guy and I'm still one of the best in the league. Which, I like that. It's kind of down to earth. And it led me to look at some of his other stats. Do you realize Brees Hall's never had 1,000-yard rushing season?
994 yards is his most.
994.
Isn't that crazy?
So
with only 5 touchdowns. He's never had more than 5 touchdowns either.
So
in a season.
close. Like a hair.
Like, that's not round one worthy running back status.
It's not, but I mean, last year he also had 76 targets.
Right.
Which for a wide receiver would be good. You know what I mean? Or reasonable anyway.
Yeah.
For like a mid-range wide receiver. So if you're getting a, maybe not top 5 running back, but you're getting a top 10 running back and you're getting a mid-tier wide receiver in one, I mean, I think he's getting drafted too late in Scott Fishbowl from some of the mocks I've seen because, you get the points for carries and the point perceptions are no joke and first downs. And I think he's gonna be the Alvin Kamara prototype this year, who always does good in Scott Fishbowl, but this year might not be so much.
Right, and he's got Justin Fields now.
What's that? Yeah, and Justin Fields. There's a lot of people that like saying he never checks down, but that's actually not true. He does. They say he doesn't check down enough because he just runs.
Right.
And but what they're leaving out is that a lot of times he doesn't throw long because he checks down. So if he checks down and the running back isn't there, well, sure, he's going to take off at that point.
Right.
But
that could actually be an interesting duo this year.
Yeah, and I think the Jets coaching staff will have more control over Justin Fields than last year's staff did over Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is just going to do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? He's not going to listen to you. He's going to change the play. He's going to this, the other. So at least Justin Fields, you got somebody that's listening to you when you tell him what to do.
Sorry, I'm still reading your email. Like I got home with like 30 minutes to spare.
You're reading my email like, what is he about to talk about?
I did some notes, but I didn't do any notes on your Steelers players that you're going to talk about.
Well, that's okay. I'll just, I'll take too long pressing buttons if I need to. The Steelers, I don't know that this is really news. Tyler Boyd played for the University of Pittsburgh. He's from that area. We took him in front of the Steelers, we being the Cincinnati Bengals, as kind of a you. But now he's saying he would welcome the opportunity to go to the Steelers, and he still feels like he has a few good years left. Well, I mean, that's like stock answer. You know what I mean? Right. They could have asked him about the Toronto Argonauts, and he'd be like, yeah, I'd be thrilled. That'd be great. So I don't really know if that's newsworthy, and I don't know that the Steelers are entirely interested anyway.
The Steelers, again, could give Mike Tomlin his first losing season this year. I know other people would say differently, but I do not expect much out of that offense. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't think anybody does until they sign another receiver. And I don't mean a Tyler Boyd receiver. I mean an Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen receiver. It'd probably be Cooper. They'd have to get all three of them in the same room, find out which one is most crazy, and then sign him. Because that's pretty much how the Steelers operate.
That's a great point, actually.
You know what I'm saying? I
yes.
mean, you got Deontay Johnson's batshit. Like, I mean, Antonio Brown, forget about it.
Lost his freaking mind.
He just skipped the country because he was,
of course, he did,
accused of attempted murder. But okay, so the redraft season is upon us. That means the best ball season is upon us, and we're going to talk about some ADPs. But what that also applies to is we've got a special deal worked out with the FFPC, which is where you go if you want to spend some money and put your money where your knowledge is.
right?
So, they have some lower stake stuff. They have some really high stake stuff. And you can use the promo code Underworld at FFPC to get yourself a little hookup action there. But why am I talking about it when I could let the podfather do it?
Hey, why do we partner with the FFPC? Because they have the widest variety of fantasy football formats, and it's the easiest place to find all types of fantasy football contests in the world. What if you want to play for high stakes? Well, they have a $6 million prize pool with their Fantasy Players Championship. They also have way too early best ball leagues that start in February and dynasty leagues. They have the closest thing to a liquid market for orphans that there is in all of Dynasty. And the FFPC has sponsored us for half a decade because we are actually delivering information that can help fantasy gamers, and they're generating so much interest and bringing in so many new users, casual users even. The FFPC creates a unique experience where you can both compete against the best and make money. Use promo code Underworld to get $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team at the FFPC with promo code Underworld. Go get it.
Man, how does he do that? I wish every time I went, like some music would play or something, or I would have like a theme song of some sort.
You need to work on it.
I know. I need to, you know what I need to do? I need to make enough money just to hire somebody to walk around behind me and go,
right,
every time I do something.
This was my first year actually drafting on that site, and it was Stacy Perez's league, and I actually enjoyed drafting on that site. It worked out really well and had no problems.
I've heard it's really good. I've never drafted there.
Do it. $25 off your first team.
Does that make it Underworld. 0? It's charity season. All my money's already gone to charity.
It's crazy.
So yeah, once again, we'll Underworld and get the hook up there. So Roxanne is buffering. I'm not sure if
I'm buffering. You're buffering. We've lost him. He was freezing up, and then he said bye. He's trying to get all those cool
There's you.
effects probably working.
Is that you or is that me?
No, it's you. You disappeared.
You did too. You disappeared before I disappeared.
I'm still here. I'm talking.
You never know what's going to happen on Fantasy Whiplash, man. We were just going too quick. The computer couldn't keep up. All right. Well, let's hope we're past that. Once again, use promo code Underworld. Get the hook up there. Speaking of ADPs, you can also
thank you, Angie.
The knowledge you need of ADPs off of PlayerProfiler.com. All you do is type in a guy's name. Boom. It's right there in the corner, or you can go to the ADP page. It'll tell you where the guy is typically being drafted. And just to give you an idea going in, because right now on some of the sites like Sleeper, and stuff like that. The ADP is not going to catch up until the redraft leagues are really starting to fire on all cylinders. You know, I was drafting on one today, and some of the ADPs were just, I mean, absurd. I mean, they didn't make any sense. And it's because a lot of people are drafting rookies way too early and such like that. So we got a couple guys here and that we're going to go through. And what? Angie says Roxy never disappeared.
See, I told you I didn't. You did.
Are you kidding me? I'm in a prime Wi-Fi location.
Are you?
They're in California. All right. Well, hopefully it won't happen again. But if it does, I'll just assume it's me. Okay. So who wants to go first? You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. I got Geno Smith first.
Okay.
ADP is 51.2. And I think him back with Pete Carroll is really good for him. He led the league in pass completions with Carroll in his first season with 30 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. My only concern is their receiving core there. It's Bowers and Myers and then a rookie and somebody else. I have it pulled up, but
yeah,
I don't like their receiving core unless you can get Bowers. Like, you're going to take Bowers pretty early. And if you can sneak in and get Geno, I don't know, 7th, 10th round and hook those two up together, I think that could be a really good combination in redraft this year.
Yeah, I think it could too. And you were thinking of Trey Tucker, and they've got two rookies, Betch and Thornton.
Yeah.
But they're unproven, like you said. But yeah, I mean, man, I've slagged Geno Smith so many times in the past as being just a game manager. And then he had one good year, and I was like, well, this is like an anomaly. This is one good year. And then he kept doing it. And I was like, well, it doesn't look like a journeyman backup anymore, you know?
He threw for 4,300 yards last season. Like, he's not bad.
Right.
And again, going back with Carroll, this could be like Carroll's last hurrah, you know what I mean? He loves Geno Smith.
Yeah.
And what if Tom Brady comes in and helps him a little bit there?
Okay. Really? You had to get it in there, didn't you?
It's the only way I'm going to be
always
nice
going to
about
get Tom Brady in there. Is he watching at home tonight, Roxy?
Of course he is. He's right there.
All right. I guess I'll go.
Jacoby Myers wasn't that good last year. He did have 1,000 yards, but only 4 touchdowns.
What's that?
Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards last year, 1,027, but only 4 touchdowns.
Right. I think he's had 1,000 for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the touchdowns I wouldn't really consider completely his fault. It's the quarterbacking there has been atrocious. But
who was their quarterback last year? They had like 2 different ones, right?
Yeah, they had Minshew and Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
Minshew, who's now with the Chiefs. Watch him get a ring.
They're not winning the Super Bowl.
Could you imagine? I'd be beside
They're
myself.
not even going to make the AFC West game. So
I'm always waiting for Minshew to come out and tell me he can throw the football over them mountains. Okay, I'll go next. I'll keep it with quarterbacks. And I've got, what do you want to call him? Mr. Unlimited? Do you want to call him?
Yeah. God.
Do you want to call him Danger Russ?
So horrible.
Iron sharpens iron. Steel sharpens steel. What's he going to come up with?
Cornball.
What's he going to come up with for the? Yeah, he said something for the Broncos too, didn't he? He was like, "Let's ride" or something like that after every interview.
After like 8 weeks, they told him don't say that anymore.
He's such a cornball. What's up, Mike? Thanks for coming in. Yeah, so I'll stay with him.
Are you sure he's going to be their starter?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think. Okay, well, I'll get to it. Let me first tell you that his ADP is a whopping 212.9. That means he's going he's going really in about the 18th round. He was quarterback 24 last year, but he also only played 11 games. So, in 11 games last year, he didn't look real good. He didn't look awful, but it's not the kind of offense that he should be aging into. You know what I mean? He's no longer the Russell Wilson of Seattle.
Right.
You know what I mean? He can't just put a game on his shoulders. What he needs to do is be a little bit more like a Geno Smith, or what I thought a Geno Smith was, and be a little bit more of a game manager. And I think if he starts for the Giants, that's what he's going to get the opportunity to do. You've got Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, and the tight end Theo Johnson. All of those guys are shallow route guys. So this is like, if you're going to lean on, you're going to lean on the running game because they're going to do that. Between Tyrone Tracy and they'll mix in Scatabo here and there. But he's going to be throwing short passes, and he can still do that. And I think he can still do it well. And this is why I would say that I think he's going to be the starter, because Jameis Winston is especially good at getting the ball way down the field. And I just don't think they have the receiving core to do that.
They have one.
So I'm afraid that Jameis is going to go out there and be like, how come there's nobody down there?
It's sad because Malik Neighbors is awesome, and I wish he could get a good quarterback in there in like the next year or two so we can really see what he can do.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to get, the target attention that he got last year. I mean, and Wan'Dale had a ton too. Wan'Dale had like 165, 170 targets, and yet somehow only had like 600 yards, maybe not even that, maybe 400. But so Russ is going to manage the game. I don't think anybody's going to draft him. He's going to be just sitting on waivers all season. Might be a streaming option depending on who your starter is playing that week. But what about you? Do you think Jameis is going to take that job?
I don't know who's taking that job. That quarterback room is an absolute mess.
I don't think Jackson Dart is ready.
No, definitely not.
Because he needs to be able to throw the ball down the field too.
I do believe this is again, another coach that's on the hot seat, Daboll, and he's going to do everything he can to save his job. And if that means playing all three at some point, because if the first two don't work out, if Russell doesn't work out or he gets hurt and then we throw in Jameis and it's not working out, well, shit, why wouldn't we try Dart?
Right. Or it's the same old story where you eventually switch to the rookie so that you can point at him and say, well, you didn't give me enough time with the rookie.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like coaches are notorious for doing that. But yeah, I'll tell you one thing. In redraft, I don't really, with the exception of Neighbors, I don't want to have anything to do with this team.
Same.
Maybe Theo Johnson, but I doubt it because Neighbors and Wandale both run from the slot. At times, not exclusively, but often. So, I mean, I was Theo Johnson intrigued me for a while, but I don't think I'm touching anybody from this offense. I'm not going to be in a position to get Neighbors, and then there's nobody. Scatabo, I could care less. I think Tyrone Tracy's probably going to get the most carries out of that backfield. So I don't know. What about you? You drafting anybody from there?
Nope. Not touching him.
Yep. God, you can always count on New York teams, or New Jersey teams.
I wish I knew what their over-under win total was.
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to guess 3.5. Maybe.
Me too. That's what I was going to say. 3.5.
Maybe if Vegas was being nice to them. But yeah, they're going to be bad.
Yeah.
They're going to be bad. So, Roxy, who you got as your second player?
From the Denver Broncos, the Joker player, we have Evan Engram.
Ooh.
With an ADP of 118.1. I think if he can stay healthy, I think people are drafting him a little too high just because of how little usage the tight ends get in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
They had, hold on, I have this written down because it's fascinating. 72 targets went to tight ends last year in the Broncos offense. 72 is all.
That's all?
62 the year before.
Oh, my God.
Between all tight ends in the Broncos. We're talking about one receiver at the beginning, whoever it was, 88, receptions. Like, oh, my God, that's one person. The Broncos can only get 72 to the whole tight end core?
Yeah, I think maybe people are drafting him higher than he should go just because they're excited about Bo Nix.
Yeah.
But what they're drafting is Evan Engram from Jacksonville.
Right.
That's who they're actually trying to draft, and that's not who he is anymore.
No, and it's not how the Broncos play football, unless things are going to change this year. They might a little, but 72 targets to tight ends last year? That's absurd. It was the third fewest in the NFL.
Maybe Sean Payton will turn him into a Taysom Hill clone.
I wonder about that.
Well, I mean, he already is in love with his new nickname, the Joker.
Right.
So could you imagine Sean Payton being all giddy and being like, let's do something funny with you?
I just think coming off his surgery, there's just too much for, again, where he's getting drafted, that I think people are putting a lot more faith in him than they're thinking about how the Broncos play the tight end position.
Would you wait and take him as your tight end 1, or would he be more likely to be your tight end 2 if you have room on the bench for 1?
I've waited in quite a few drafts for him to take him as my tight end 2, and before I got him, he was getting snagged up. And I'm like, what am I not seeing here? What is everybody else seeing?
Right.
Do they know he just had surgery last year?
Yeah, there's a bunch of cards stacked kind of against him right now. It's a new team, it's a new system, it's a new quarterback. You just had surgery.
Right. I don't understand the hype.
Yeah, I don't either. He's a good player, but I we could certainly be surprised. He could certainly surprise us. He has the talent to do that. I'm a little apprehensive.
A bigger tight end. I don't think he's like huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's only 6'3". Is that big for a tight end?
Not real. No.
I don't think so either.
No, like you want your tight ends to be 6'4", 6'5", if possible. No, I'm not saying they all are.
Right.
I'm just saying quite often. But contrary to that, also, I think Engram's a little faster than some of the other tight ends in the league. So, what he lacks in size, he probably makes up for in separation from cornerbacks and so on and so forth. So, what's up, Merrick? How are you?
Good evening.
All right. What else you got on Engram? Anything?
Don't put as much stock as you guys think. And just because Sean Payton's telling you something, you cannot believe that man. I've said that before.
Right.
A joker role means he could be doing anything. He could do a lot of blocking.
He's also not God. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everybody's like, well, if Sean Payton says it.
Exactly. Like he's the one coach you're going to believe?
Right. Right. Yeah. Because they're all full of it.
Right.
That's why there's an account called Coach Speak Index. It's to try to tell you, like, they don't mean that.
Right.
Okay, I'll go to my next one. And I am going to a guy who is actually one of my favorites, and that is Stefon Diggs, who now finds himself in New England wearing a Patriots uniform. I think this is the kind of player that Drake May really needs, is somebody that's a reliable route runner who prides himself on that, will always be where it says for him to be. May needs that instead of guessing, because everybody else in that wide receiver core on that roster is just, nobody knows. I mean, last year we had Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, and everybody was like, these guys are going to be really good, and hardly they barely found the field. So I still believe in Polk, but I've already given up on Baker, and he was my favorite. But so yeah, I think Diggs
ADP.
Diggs is 79.8. He's a wide receiver full, I think 46 off the board. Yeah, and I mean that's not that bad. You know what I mean? And that's partially because, again, this is a guy coming back from surgery. But, just last year with Houston, he played in 8 games alongside Nico Collins and Tank Dell, who we already knew Stroud liked a lot.
Right.
And he was on pace for 100 catches and 1,000 yards. And he's had 1,000 for 6 straight seasons. So, you can say what you want about him being, kind of nuts, and maybe that's why he got himself walked out of Buffalo. But, he produces. He's always produced.
He could be the guy that May needs, though.
Yeah. And then and possibly groom someone else on that roster to become that guy.
I ain't touching him still.
Yeah, but by the same token, the same reason he left Buffalo, he could also be the guy that ruins May.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, if he got under Josh Allen's skin, then imagine being a sophomore player.
Right.
So,
Why? Oh,
yeah, go ahead. Who's your third person?
my third person is Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders. ADP 109.
109, really? I feel like I keep seeing him go earlier than that.
And I feel like, I don't know, is he going to take away from McLaurin? Because McLaurin's going pretty high compared to that.
Yeah. I think Deebo plays a pretty different style game. You know what I mean? He's usually a little more in the middle of the field or on screens and stuff, and counts on his yak ability.
Yeah, last year, if you watched, he wasn't getting the separation that he used to get, though. I really feel like he has lost that pep in his step where he used to be able to separate really well.
Yeah.
And he can't separate as well anymore.
Yeah, and especially when they split him out, for screen passes or just really short passes. Man, if somebody was like caught putting a linebacker on him, I mean, he would just dust the guy.
Right.
And be off to the races for 50 yards.
Yep. It's not him anymore, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. Maybe a new uniform, and once again, another guy that's hurt. We could have called this show anything we wanted. We could have called this show guys that were hurt last year.
Right. They paid him $17 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I think he could have success there. Just because they're already used to often drawing up plays where they dump out to Eckler or Robinson, whichever,
right,
if they're both on the field. So if they start using Deebo in that role, instead of trying to make him run down and be the wide receiver he's not, which is what San Francisco did to him last year.
Right.
Once Ayuk went down, they were like, okay, hey, Deebo, go long. And he was like, do what now?
Right. He did have a year with 1,400 yards, which was his best year in 2021. That was 4 years ago. Again, like I feel like the pep in his step is gone, and he's just not able to separate like he used to. That's just he's got Cleve Kingsbury there. I think that could work out really well for him also.
Yeah, it might be modest numbers, I guess. So you said what's he at? 109 is his ADP?
Yeah, 109.
So he's getting picked up in like the 9th round. Or 9th to 10th. Yeah. I think that's probably an appropriate ADP because there is sort of that drop off right around that point. So you might be kind of willing to take a shot on him. Hey, Kim's here.
Hi, Kim. Also known as Hottie Toddy.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I'd be, if he's at the top of my list, like at the top of my rankings, right when I'm about to pick, I would take him. But if I had to reach like 6 or 7 picks because I'm concerned he's not going to make it back around to me, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll just let somebody else have him. Because it's a lottery ticket as it is.
I agree.
Okay. I have one more, and we're right up against it. So, this is a really intriguing one, actually. San Francisco was dumping some salary this offseason. And one of the things they did was they moved Jordan Mason to the Vikings. And they got a 5th round back for it and gave up their 6th, which is a pretty good deal for them. And it saved them, some money. The Vikings, meanwhile, turned around and just gave him like $10 million for 2 years. So it's pretty much a good deal for everybody involved, except for Jordan Mason, who now is under contract for 2 years, and it's only $5 million each. But Aaron Jones is getting long in the tooth, and even when he was in Green Bay, they always utilized their 3rd down back or their, handcuff back or whatever you want to call it. They always used him to spell Jones. And last year, Jones didn't get a whole lot of spelling. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He caught a lot of balls out of the backfield and such like that. So Jordan Mason is, let's see where he's going. He's going, I'm just trying to read my own.
Would you hate that?
My own chicken scratch. His ADP is 94.4, means he's averaging right around round 8, pick 10. What's interesting, though, is that has actually gone up 14 points. That was me again, wasn't it?
Yes. We're cutting out.
Can you hear me when it goes off like that?
No. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes.
You can't even hear me? All right. Well, look, we're right up against this, so I'm going to cook through this. Let's go.
I can hear you now, though.
94.4. He's being picked in the 8th round, 10th pick in the 8th. He's gone up 14 points in ADP because people are starting to get wise to it. And there's been enough people, and I will echo the sentiment. There's been enough people saying that that's going to end up a split backfield with Aaron Jones catching more passes than he is rushing. And not only that, I think Jordan Mason is out and out going to be the feature back in Minnesota by the end of the season. You can call that bold. I don't think it is.
That's a good little nugget, actually. That's a good pick, actually.
I think it could happen. And if you're getting him in the 8th round just on a whim, I mean, that's earlier than Trey Benson. And I think Benson's going to be a starter by halfway through the season.
Yep.
So, but I mean, last year he only started 6 games. He played in 12. He had over 800 yards of scrimmage, but he only had 19 targets in 6 starts.
Oh, wow.
That's not a lot.
Right.
So it seems like, and Aaron Jones is a great pass catcher. So it seems like Aaron Jones, they could flip that role. You know what I mean? So I am targeting Mason everywhere. I'm taking him earlier than his ADP. I'll take him as early as the 7th round. The question is whether or not you've got the bench to do it and be patient. I think he's going to put up numbers every week, similar to Jaylen Warren. Nothing astronomical, but he will put up numbers every week, but he won't be in control of that backfield till well after the bye week, I think. So what about you? Are you interested in adding Jordan Mason?
Yeah, I like that little nugget, actually, of information that you've given on him, and it makes a lot of sense. Aaron Jones obviously is aging. He's on his 2nd team. And I hadn't actually explored Mason at all there.
Right. Yeah. I actually
That's a fact.
Oh, of course we do. Yeah, I can never read my own writing, but part of it is because I always just look for the smallest scrap of paper that still has like this much room on it, and I cram the information in and write really small. And then my old ass eyes are looking at it later like, what does it even mean?
I was just thinking, how can I make this bigger for me?
Right. Okay, well, we're up against it. I want to thank everybody for stopping by today. And you know what's interesting, Roxy, is when I was making a list of people that switched teams, so that you and I could decide who we wanted to talk about. It really had not occurred to me that there were so many,
right?
Because I didn't even finish the list.
Right. I was shocked when you sent the list.
And we had a lot more, and there's some really intriguing ones on there, just like we had today. I mean, we didn't even talk about J.K. Dobbins because we've already talked about him a lot lately. But you know, he's another one that's on that list. So I think what we're going to do is next week we're going to revisit this subject and bring some more and do them till we're done, because you know there's a lot of fantasy players out there that feel more comfortable drafting veterans,
right,
than they do guys that might break out, or they want a mixture of the two, right?
Yep.
Okay, so before we go, I will remind everybody, please give this show a like. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. When the show is over, please leave any comments as you can in the comments down below, and find us on Spotify and Apple Music and anywhere you get your podcasts. You can look for Profiler Now, or you can look for the Dynasty Gens Network on Spotify for sure. I was just listening to another show today. But we appreciate you coming by. As always, we'll pick this up again next week, have some more for you. And if there's more news, bet your ass we're going to talk about it. So say good night, Roxy.
Good night, Tom.
Good night, Amber. Don't make a mess before I get there.